after my first panic attack, somebody was like, let me put you up on Lavender.
Put you up on Lavender.
Right? And I was like,
yeah,
what?
It's amazing.
I was like, all right. Kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
Like, And then I was like, oh my God. Stress, lavender bath bombs.
Yeah.
Like plant medicine, people. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Plant medicine is real. Hi, and welcome to According to Weeze, the podcast. With me, your girl Weeze. This is a show where we're going to have candid conversations with the hopes of finding a way forward in community. See, fundamentally, I believe that we exist at the intersection of our complex identities, politics, and our sociocultural systems. And let's be real, the only way to dismantle it all is to dissect it. So get cozy, get comfy, and let's dive in. All right, y'all, man. Welcome to this episode of ATW. So this is this the first time I've done this? I think I've recorded every episode of ATW virtually. This might be the first ATW that I've done in person.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's actually really dope. This is a big deal because, I had That's Not How That Works, my other podcast. Shout out Trudy LeBron. I've had that since end of 2017, beginning of 2018. 2018, since the beginning of 2018. But this I started during the pandemic. So everything's been virtual. So this is kind of cool. Also, I'm just saying now, if the sound sounds different, that's because we're in a room together versus, normally you have like your mic and your headphones and like all the things. But anyways, doesn't matter. So
in a nice room, in a nice home.
Yeah.
Your home.
I know, I was going to say. And so this is very exciting because this is the first episode that I recorded in my new house. And it just so happens that Tareq of America Hates Us is in my house visiting from New York, and we decided to record together. Well, I've been trying to get you on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm shy.
No, you are. I mean, you're fake shy. Fine, go tell people how.
Some have said that before, but no, I'm shy. I'm really shy. I keep to myself. I'm out on these streets. At least my face isn't out on these streets.
I was gonna say, yeah, you are in these streets. Okay, well, I say you're fake shy, but I get it. I feel like you're the kind of shy where you're like, you have to decide. You're like, oh, I fuck with that person.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is who I am. Like, but yeah, if not, it's like, you would probably think you don't talk. Common people are probably like, is he funny? Does he have a personality?
Yeah, someone actually wrote to me on Instagram today because I had done an audio message, which I don't tend to do. But someone's like, oh my God, you're a real person. I thought you were just really well-crafted bot. And I was like, no, I'm a real person. I just tend not to display myself much.
Okay. So, and that is something different that y'all do, America Hates Us does, and like a lot of other brands, right? You like kind of, other than like, maybe Ashley or Allison, like knowing that they do things like, they have their roles that they play. It's always kind of like, who's actually, behind the brand and all of that. So let's take it back to the beginning.
Okay.
Because I love me a good origin story.
Okay.
So why America Hates Us? What was happening in your life? Like, what made you be like, yo, this is what we're doing and this is why we're calling it this?
So nothing on my end that did that.
Okay.
My good friend, he had several streetwear brands, mostly in Brooklyn, New York, and they were local celebrities, successful. And he had approached me. I was finishing my clerkship. I was clerking for a criminal court judge. Shout out to Judge Jacobs in Passaic, New Jersey. And he asked me if I can get down with starting a new company. He wanted to put his design background and my, skills or education in history and law, et cetera, politics, social consciousness, collaborate. We put our two heads together, form one, and come up with a brand. And I was in the process of applying for a prosecutor role in Jersey. I didn't get the job, which was a blessing in disguise because it gave me opportunity to work.
Oh yeah, wait, can we because you're like doing this thing where you're like not saying light flex, like law school, lawyer.
Oh no, because it doesn't define me.
It doesn't, but I think it's important because you have, and we can get into this later, it's one of the things that I appreciate most about the lens with which you look at things because right, some of us can I have a peripheral understanding. I didn't go to law school. I never had to take the bar. I have a peripheral understanding of the law and I have a structural systemic understanding of the law, but you're really in the weeds on it because you studied it. And so I think it gives you this really dope lens and nuanced perspective into like some of the granular things that we all talk about socially. So that to me is a flex, because like I've read the laws and I'd be like, nah, fam, like I'm not reading this anymore. I don't want to.
Yeah, thank you so much for Weeze will just always make me smile big and make me blush, even though it's not possible. Yeah, having the background, I think it helps me with translating things, because I try not to come off as preachy or know it all, and I just make it as simple as it can be. And a lot of times I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said before.
Right.
I'm just resharing stuff that people that are way smarter than me have been able to explain, and it's clear to me. So I hope it would be clear to my audience. And for the most part, I think I'm very active in engagement. So if people have questions or they're just not sure about something, I'm happy to a certain extent explain, depending on who you are, your demographic, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Okay, so sorry, I took us off track. So you didn't get the job. Blessing in disguise.
Blessing in disguise. We started with 2 designs, a dictator shirt that had Trump and Stalin and several other dictators we thought would be considered evil. And we had a hat similar to Trump's trucker hat, but instead of Make America Great Again, it said Make America Hate Again. And we had no buzz in the beginning, like local family support, et cetera, but nothing moving the needle. And it wasn't until the 2016 election, which was on my birthday, which was one of the worst birthdays I've ever had, because, everybody expecting Hillary to win. And I promise you, I made a bet with some people well before the election that she was not going to win. In my opinion, still stands, the country is racist as it is. It's a lot more sexist, a lot more misogynistic. So I knew Hillary wasn't going to win. So I was at this sad-ass party on my birthday, because it was the Hillary night. And by 10:30, everybody was crying.
Yeah.
And it was like very upsetting for me, because what about me? It's my birthday. And I know it was bigger than that, but that's the feeling I had. So we got to focus on that. And well, here's what happened. With him winning, sales of the hat went up, because the country started slowly to realize that a lot more hate. It existed already, but it will be on Front Street.
Yeah.
And so that kind of was another blessing in disguise. Obviously, if we could go back in time, I'd say things would be way better, but I would not want to profit off of a hat in exchange for 44, what's his name, 44, 45?
He was 45.
Yeah. I try not to use his name, but I forget 45.
I call him Trumpelstiltskin.
Trumpelstiltskin. Yeah, we could go with that.
Yeah, okay.
T-skin? No, that doesn't sound
That's not
Let's Trumpelstiltskin.
Yeah. I know his name is in it, but like it infantilizes him in a way that makes it easier for me to say.
And this is not, you don't even have to keep this. Were people using the word Trump before Trump? Like, oh, that trumped you? I know it exists. I don't remember people using it as often.
I used to say it all the time. I'm like, I'm going to use this as my Trump card. And then when he got elected, I was like, damn it. I literally have to change my vocabulary.
Which is very important.
Yeah.
For a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I have knowledge in my mouth. So.
Well, they'll be fine. But I want to set the stage real quick while you're chewing. We're both drinking peppermint tea out of ATW mugs. That's my original logo.
You know, tea tastes better inside this mug. Tea tastes actually better.
I feel like you're gassing me up, but I actually think that's true. When I drank coffee out of my Protect Your Peace mug, I was like, this tastes better.
Let the people know.
I'm sticking by it. But we're drinking tea. I am also drinking Pedialyte because I'm feeling a little dehydrated. And you're eating Now and Laters.
A lot of them.
This is like the perfect way to do this. But yeah, no, I for sure changed my language. Like, I stopped saying Trump, like ex-Trumps, whatever, like his name aside, the word to Trump, gone.
Yeah. And very important for us in the brand, after we had a name somewhat, we stopped talking about him.
Yeah.
We realized that we didn't want to make any products associated with him. And we were not a brand to be anti-Trump. That wasn't the purpose of us, coming on the scene. So a lot of our other products have nothing related to him and much more related to the audience or the community we serve, which is more marginalized people. So, yeah. So
where did America Hates Us, like where did the name come from?
I've not been asked this question in such a long time. My friend, Brandon, who approached me with it, we shopped a bunch of different names and we came up with that. And it was very difficult to like boil it down to, is it America Hates Us? America Hates United People, United States. The us, for the most part, my memory is jogging back now, us symbolizes the most marginalized. So it's not necessarily America, a lot of times white people will get into my DMs and say, we don't hate you. And I don't understand how they have liberties to think that I believe individual white person stands for America. It is a system larger than everybody. And so I say the system hates us.
Mm-hmm.
And us can fall anywhere between Black, trans, disabled,
Mm-hmm.
impoverished,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever bank or whatever umbrella you fall under
Mm-hmm.
for marginalized,
Mm-hmm.
that is the us.
Yeah.
And so because it's the system versus us, there's more of us than the system. And if we were collective and we put our heads together and work together, we can fight the system. But the way the game is rigged and set up, we are taught to go at each other, and the system wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, white nationalism is a hell of a thing, right? And that's why, to me, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Like, when people see the name America Hates Us, like, I'm never surprised that because I can see, you know, I mean, we talk and like I see how people respond, especially in the comments. And it's like, you actually put yourself on Front Street when you're like, but we don't hate you or I don't hate you. It's like, you're literally showing your ass. Like, you're very clearly showing that you have been socialized and conditioned to believe that America simply stands for whiteness. Like, it is white nationalism.
It is,
right? Because you don't hear them running around talking about white American, right? Because American inherently for them, it's like
default.
I mean, it's by default. It's you know,
I don't know if this ever happened
white,
to you.
so on and so forth.
This happened to me at a very early age. Like, just reading texts when I was a child, I'd always noticed that they would always have descriptors for anybody non-white male. So it's the man walked in the room, the man sat down, man ordered coffee. There's no question of who the man is, but each and every time it's not the white guy, there's a descriptor. And so that represents what we've been brought up on. Yeah. That they are the default.
Exactly. So that's why for me, I'm like, that's why y'all think that, right? But again, like, that's all my invitation to people is like, you inherently feel dragged or attacked. First of all, like, unless somebody's explicitly attacking you, like they're naming character faults about you or what they think are character faults about you, like, that's between you and your spirit, and you have some things to excavate.
What they say, only hit dogs holler?
Yes, exactly.
As I stir the tea.
Okay, so the name is born, the brand is born. When y'all really kicked it off, like, what was the, like, did y'all have a mission? Or was it really just like, we want to be able to provide, you know, statement pieces for populations who are historically marginalized and voiceless? Like, we just want you to be able to basically let people know where you stand.
So I would just like to say that we can both do the interview and answer the questions. No, you're right up the alley. Our initial mission was just to make dope products that would resonate with marginalized folks. Stuff that everything that we say and think, or everything that we think and don't say out loud all the time, or we say out loud to each other, and not necessarily in every space. Now we can just have the message on our chest. You know, I wanted to invite conversation. I wanted people to be uncomfortable seeing this stuff and then do one of two things: question why they're uncomfortable with it. And two, you know, obviously you check to see, you read a room, ask somebody why they're wearing that shirt, what that shirt symbolizes. Like, you know, thoughtful conversation. I don't want any fights. I don't want any feuds. I want people to think about things. And so, like, one of our shirts that did really well, White Lives Matter, was super important to me because it's subtle, it's to the point, and it's evidence and fact. And for too long, we have excused white lies because white lies sometimes appear as small lies, but white lies have small repercussions and very large repercussions.
I meant to.
There you go. And so we wanted people to sit with that uncomfortability and recognize that we got to stop the white lies. We have to recognize that they do matter. They cause a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of violence to people. And so it was mostly for, I wanted some dope shit to communicate these really good messages, and hopefully people could have conversation and think about it.
Yeah. The reason I love White Lives Matter specifically, I mean, I love all your stuff, obviously.
Thank you.
And I want to be really clear because people, I'm going to take it back just to like gas you and the entire team up.
Gas me, please.
People, I think a lot of times automatically assume that like if you have a platform of any kind or if you are visible, that like you're wearing things because somebody gave it to you or there's some sort of agreement. And there are a lot of people that operate under that premise. I am not one of those people.
You were not.
I mean, when I first started wearing y'all stuff, like I had been following you. I had just started wearing it and was like tagging y'all because that's what I'm going to do. If I'm going to wear something or talk about something, I'm going to let people know, like, follow that person, or this is where I found it, or whatever, right?
I remember that live with you. You had a live and you had a shirt on. I don't know if you remember this.
The cut to the pig.
Yeah. And
I absolutely do.
And I don't even know if we had any conversation. But you were, I apologize for cutting you off.
Go ahead.
But you were hyping me, before you could get into your subject matter, you were hyping up the shirt, you were hyping up the message, you were hyping up the brand. And I was like, this is the kind of energy I expect for somebody I know for a long time.
Yeah.
This is the kind of energy I expect from my people. This is the kind of energy I expect to, like, it was great. It made me feel good inside. I can go through my phone and I still have the screenshots and I have the recordings of it.
That's dope. I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, because, and this is the thing that people don't know about me, which I'll pull my own card now. I had been bought your stuff because I liked what you were doing in the messaging. But I like slow crept. I had to make sure I was like, because I don't know who this person is behind. Like, it's hard enough as it is with somebody who's going to be quote unquote front facing. Yeah. Obviously, it's even harder, especially when I'm already, my line, trust nothing, vet everything. It's like, I can't vet this person because I don't know who, like, I can't Google them. I can't, sleuth them. We have accounts like the @feminist who are a bunch of white dudes. We have So.Informed and the Progressivist that are just accounts that are massive. But who's the person behind it? Like, who knows, right? But all of that being said, I was like, okay, I'm a slow creep. I'm going to really see, like, how is this person responding to things in the comments? Yeah. Basically, are they about the messaging that they're really putting out there? Is integrity there, right? So especially in that kind of like 2019, 2020 era where people are starting to get like woke, and it's like, to your point, people are starting to try to profit off of this work and this messaging and equity and justice. And everyone that's been following me knows I have a very I'm not salty about a lot of things, but that is one of those things that like I will always be salty about because you wasn't with us shooting in the gym. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, people have been doing this since way before when it wasn't profitable and there was no clout to chase and there was none of that.
It was the right thing to do.
Exactly. It was the right thing to do. And we had other jobs simultaneously, or whatever the case may be. And then it got popping and fine. But that's really when I was like, I just remember following and like, we had a couple interactions, not on like, not to where we had really started to develop like our friendship, but a couple interactions where I was like, okay, whoever's running this account is really about this life. Yeah. Like the way that they move is in alignment with the messaging and the brand and all of those things. So then I was like, okay, cool. I can stand behind wearing this and being like, this is why I love this and this is that. And like, y'all go follow and blah, 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 blah. Right. And like the way like bigging y'all up. But I will like have somebody on my radar for months and months and months before I will start to shout them out publicly.
That's the right way to go about it.
Right.
Yeah. What's the rush? That's how you get burned.
And I being the first being the
first to do something, you get burned.
You do it wrong when you rush. Yeah. Anyways, neither here nor there. But yeah, so I just got on a whole tangent about gassing you up. Yeah. I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, I was gassed up by you about you from Letty. Letty had let me know.
That's my boo. Shout out Letty. Everyone go follow her.
Letty is the ambassador of our brand on top of the likes of Fred. Those are the two folks we have and solid individual. And I actually did her podcast. It was like my first one a year ago in April.
I know, because I had asked you once before randomly and you were like, no, I'm pretend shy. And I was like,
I sounded just like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know why I just did that.
That's fine. That's how you sound.
No, in my head, that's your I'm pretend shy voice. Yeah. Because like, I don't know you to be shy. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm comfortable.
Right. But so that's the thing is like, I can't.
Do they know we hung out in New York? And
you were not shy.
No, but I'm saying, I wasn't shy then. But like, I was excited to see you.
Yeah. No, I know. But I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, he's fake shy. But I appreciate that because I will go out in public and speak to no one. And people say the same thing, like, on the internet, you're so, and I'm like, well, we're not on the internet, are we?
Safe space.
Right? Exactly. But anyways, so that's the second time that I asked. Because I was like, oh, we doing podcasts. Yeah. Like, you do. I'm like, if you're on Letty's, like, so when are we doing this? When are we doing this?
Letty was adamant about it. And so, it's hard for me to say no for a long time.
I know, I wear you down.
Facts.
Okay, anyway, so let's rewind, right? So the brand is born.
Yes.
You have initially you're talking about things that people, to your point, like we're all talking about it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
These are the things that we're saying.
Yeah.
And now we need to wear them. Oh, this is how good I am. Let's bring it back. This is why I appreciate White Lives Matter and all of your messaging.
Okay, what are we doing?
Because sometimes you have to double take. Because if you look really quickly at White Lives Matter, your brain, especially when it's already seen White Lives Matter over and over again, are going to think that. And then people will stop and it's like, or like the cut to the pig. If you don't look closely enough, you're like, oh, it's a pig, cut to the pig. That's a little weird. Maybe that person is their family owns a butcher shop.
We encourage reading.
It really forces you to stop and slow down and actually engage with what's in front of you, which I think is so crucial in a world, especially right now, right? Where all we do is push first to post, urgency, not reading all the way through, making your snap judgments and decisions based on, a first take. I think that is so crucial and so important. And I love the way that y'all do it. That was going to be my original point. But now, continuing the conversation. So y'all start putting stuff out there, right? So you said like 2017-ish, this is like people are just, it's your family being like, you're really amazing.
No, not really, but like, here's some cash. We appreciate you doing something.
I mean, it's okay, I guess. I guess we like what you're doing.
Occasional ask for a discount.
Oh, no. Y'all, please don't do that.
No, family,
don't do that.
Friends don't.
No, I pay full price for everything.
Facts. Because
that's the right thing to do.
Big facts.
Okay, regardless. So people are like Venmoing you because they love you.
Yeah.
Okay, even after they ask for a discount. That's cute. I love that for you. Here's $20 though. Yeah. You keep that too. And so between then and now, right, it's May 2022.
Yeah.
A lot has changed from that's then, cute. Keep the shirt and the 20.
Yeah.
To y'all are popping.
We've sold everywhere.
So what is that journey like?
It's great. And it kind of starts off with Lena Waithe. She had posted something years ago with regard to, I like this. And I thought I'd be cute. And right under her post, if you like this, if you like that, you'd probably like our Believe Women shirt. And she responded right under the message, contact my assistant. And it got popping from there. We sent her a shirt. She wore it at an NBC holiday party. Mm-hmm. She was next to Deborah Messing. And then the sales just started flooding in. And we were getting sales from all walks of life. We were sending it out to celebrities, other sports figures. And it was just like, oh, this feels good. I like this. I like that, the work that we put in for the last year. And, some people take a lot longer.
Yeah.
And so always have to count my blessings and say, I appreciate that we got big pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And then there were other events. I moved to Colombia and just trying to manage the brand from living in Bogota, Colombia was difficult, mostly because I was doing all the shipping and all the handling. And you live that life.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
It's very stressful.
And then try to balance real life outside of that.
Yeah.
And so I had to maneuver. So I employed folks that I loved and trusted to handle shipping for me. And then that's when I got on my IG Grizzly and really started posting and communicating with people and doing posts that were relevant and, timely and, sensitive. And at the same time, I did not hold back. I'm surprised, some people from your followers may not know, but we had our account suspended.
I'm sure they know.
Early, yeah, you probably communicated that to them. But I'm surprised our account thing took 3 years to get suspended because I have had a hot mouth. And I think, I think it's warranted. So even from Colombia, but we had a lot smaller following, I was saying what I thought needed to be said. Mm-hmm. So I was picking up on my end, social media wise. And then I just had context. I met with Fred. He wore this shirt. He wore the news. That bubbled. This young woman, name's My Epiphany. Her handle's My Epiphany. I reached out to her with regard to our Blue Lives Murder shirt. And she was like, and she sponsored by Lexus and Home Goods and Target. So she's big doing it.
Yeah.
And she was like, I want to wear this because I have a son and God forbid something, I don't want my son to be a hashtag. She actually said that and we used that as a quote. We got interviewed by Yahoo magazine, but she wore our shirt, Blue Lives Murder, outside of Afropunk in Brooklyn in front of 4 or 5 police officers who looked like they were what we would determine to be policing, just hanging back on their cell phones, harassing people, not, I guess that's police work. And so that was really big for us. And I was able to manage these, monumental wins from abroad. Mm-hmm. And it encouraged me to start making the shirts in Colombia. There's a shop Closet Bogota that sells our Believe Women shirts, sells our Slap Your Local Racist shirts, sells our Frida Color shirts. I can't remember what the design is on the Frida Color shirt. But anyway, so we've gotten support worldwide, and the brand has opened a lot of doors for me. Nothing I ever expected. I didn't do social media up until the brand. So I didn't have social media before 2016 or before 2017. And it was kind of weird sort of environment to get into because without a lot of background, it's like, what am I doing here? It was similar to my first year of law school. I had walked into class 6 years after finishing undergrad and was like, why do people have computers in class? Wait, we supposed to have a computer? And these people are typing away. And I felt like a fish out of pond. Like, how am I going to keep up? How am I going, because although law is in English, it's a totally different language. And so I was like, I'm doomed. I'm going to be a little doomed. And then we were talking about lavender tea earlier. And
wait. So I just want to set the stage.
Okay.
Because you have this really like beautiful way of letting somebody know that you had a thought that you want to come back to in a way that's like, hey, I want to talk about this thing, but I want to let you continue. Right? And I admire it because I have ADHD and people don't really know that about me because I feel like if you listen to me talk, it's pretty clear, but not everyone knows it's fine. And that's a really hard thing. I have to like work at it so hard. And so when you do it, I'm like, man, you'd be making that shit look so easy. Because if I have a thought, I'm like, like I just gotta tell you what it is. But then I can like bring it back. So anyways.
Because I'm afraid I'm gonna lose it. I'm afraid I'm gonna lose what I'm talking about now. If I bring up the thought.
No. And I think it's great. It's so graceful and it's just this like really cool way. I am fascinated in watching the way that people's brains map how they want to communicate. And so it's just this really cool way of like how your brain maps and webs your communication. Okay, but I digress. So we were talking earlier because I'm making tea and I'm like, oh, I have lavender. And then I only had lavender and chamomile, which obviously is a sleepy time tea, so no.
And I went in lavender.
Lavender. And you said...
I said lavender is very...
Anecdote. No, you said I have an anecdote about lavender.
I have an anecdote about lavender. My first semester of law school, I went to school at Rutgers in Newark, New Jersey. And I had just finished finals. And they were really tough, but I thought I'd, passed all my finals. And obviously law school, the bar is not passing when you do well. But I was out 6 years out of school. I was shook. I just wanted to make sure I did fine. So I get a letter from the school during my break. And so I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. I was a little cocky. I'm like, oh, they want to talk to me. Maybe I just kill these exams, and they want to use me as like a student helper, and I can help in the new class with my test taking skills.
Of course.
So I came in January for a week before classes started. Like, all right, they about to applaud me, give me a little champagne. We got a little toast with the deans. And they sat me down and they said, Tareq, we want to let you know that you did horrible. You performed really, really badly. You performed so badly. If you repeat this, you will not be in school. You will not graduate. You will not finish. You're doing horribly. And so we're going to have to monitor you. You're going to have to you have to do whatever you do not to do what you just did.
Oh my God.
And so I put my feet back down because they were up perched and I was like, okay, I got to get my shit together. I had issues taking tests because I had issues taking tests. It just was hard for me to process the information and put it to paper, and just I got anxiety, a whole bunch of stuff that I never ever experienced during undergrad. Undergrad was a cakewalk for me. And so I was speaking to one of my professors. She was a writing professor, legal writing. And she asked me like, what do you go through? I'm like, I just have this anxiousness. And she said, you know what? I recommend you getting some lavender in your life. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you should get some like scented candles, some like maybe some cologne. It'll put you at ease, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, man, people just saying shit to just help me get along, this isn't going to work. And so initially, I don't know if most people know how law school is set up. It's just one exam at the end of the semester. You can do all the participation you want to attend it. Nobody cares.
Right.
What matters is your grade.
Yeah.
So weeks before the exams, I was doing the lavender method. And game day, I showed up, had lavender scents. I was all about this lavender life. And I took my exams, felt fairly confident, comfortable with my performance. And when I came back the following semester, they had communicated, or the end of the semester, they communicated to me that I made the biggest jump from first semester to second semester.
Damn.
And from there out, I bodied all my exams.
Yeah.
I got an A- in Trust in the States. I was getting A's left and right. Like the way I performed after first semester versus first semester, two different people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was mostly like, I obviously got more focused. I learned how to take an exam. The funny thing about law school, they don't really truly teach you how to take it. You have to figure that out on your own, which I don't kind of like that system, but they want to weed out who they want to weed out instead of helping everybody. I don't know. Makes a lot of money, I guess, either way. And so from there on out, I was a confident, comfortable test-taking student.
That's
so Lavender.
Yes.
Shout out to Lavender.
So that's funny that that's your anecdote, and I'm really glad. So when he had told me earlier, just for the listeners to know, I was like, wait, no, don't tell me. Tell me real time so that my reaction is natural. And I'm really glad I did, because that is one of the reasons why I'm so obsessed with lavender. I have a lavender spray in my nightstand, like my candles, lavender, like Benny's sister makes candles and all sorts of things for Christmas. Like she made me lavender candles, like lavender is my, like key. For exactly that reason, because I have severe anxiety and like all sorts of other stuff. And after my first panic attack, somebody was like, let me put you up on lavender.
Put you up on lavender.
Right? And I was like,
yeah,
what?
It's amazing.
I was like, all right. Kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
Like, And then I was like, oh my God. It's like stress, lavender bath bombs. Like plant medicine, people. That's all I'm saying. Right. Plant medicine is real. So that was our detour about plant medicine and how to manage stress.
I need to shout out lavender more often. It's gotten me very far, and I appreciate you, Lavender. And you will be by my side to wherever I make it to.
I love it, because you're not gonna make it without lavender.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Colombia. Things are popping.
Why am I in Colombia?
Well, I know why. Do you want to tell them why?
I'm in Colombia because I'm one of those people that you probably heard about that said, if he wins, I'm leaving the country. So he won, and I left the country.
Yeah. So things are popping. You're like, oh, merch. Great, right? But we're not just a merch brand. We're so much more.
Yeah.
Y'all do a lot more than just merch. And I love seeing people wear the merch and, tag and all of this at the other. But I would love for you to tell people about the evolution of like the Patreon and, y'all have writing everything from like opinion pieces to poems, like that aspect of quote unquote the brand.
Yeah.
Again, love me some merch, but I think is so much more impactful. And I know that we all love wearing things, but not only from a community oriented collective healing perspective, but like transformational perspective, like wearing the shirt will start a conversation and that's cool.
Yeah.
But like, how are we actually transforming, right? I think it's through writing and, the book club that y'all do and all these other things. So talk to us a little bit through that evolution. Like what made you be like, we need to quote unquote do more or do something different?
I think that came from just how I am in my own personal life, where I'm always feeling that there's more that I can do. It's never enough. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think sometimes it's good to sit still and bask in all the things you've accomplished and achieved. And then I think it's good to motivate yourself I can do more. I can balance a little bit more. So early on, we had this young woman named Autumn from Nevada. She claims she's from New York, but she's from like Albany. She was with the team from the beginning, and she was doing a lot of events, like Women in Color history events. We would have Women in Color entrepreneur evenings. We'd have dope people come speak about making a radio or film or publications. And so this is pre-pandemic. I was doing a lot of stuff. The Wrinkle in Time event had a bunch of Black young girls go see the film Wrinkle in Time, gave out books, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted America Hates Us to be more from the outside. I wanted it to be more than just clothing, because clothing, like you said, it's cool, but it doesn't last as long as a timely piece on abortion or immigration, et cetera, where people could return to it. So from Colombia, I was trying to delegate or coordinate events for the people. And they were successes because like 3,000, 5,000, 7,000 followers, folks wanted to fuck with us and just be down. Not even to be down because it's a cool thing, but down because they liked where we were going. And after the pandemic, it made me shift. I don't want to do too many public things because still a pandemic. And we all should still be wearing our masks. I want to do something more, which was starting the book club. Allison, who joined us roughly a year ago, we read, we cover, we discuss some pieces that often don't get the daylight that they deserve. And we have these meetings where we discuss, what did you get out of the book? How do you plan on, now that you have this information, what are you going to do with it? Because it's one thing to pick up a book and put it on your shelf and say, I'm an anti-racist. If you ain't read this shit, or you're not applying this shit, you're just collecting books. And we don't want that. Same thing with the clothing. We don't want you just wearing a shirt or going to a rally or a protest. Or do you mean what's on your chest? Otherwise, just send me the money.
Right.
Don't wear this shit.
Right.
Just donate.
Yeah.
So right now we have a Patreon where people get access to our book clubs and they get access to reading our pieces by our writers, which are a diverse set of people, mostly Black women. And we want their voices to be heard. And I love where we're at now, because a year or two ago, I couldn't pay people like I could pay them now. I'd have to get someone a hoodie or a shirt, and they were like, fuck it. I want to write for you. I like where you're going. I will take it. But now, hopefully your audience, if they hear any young writers out there want to write for America, hates us, we want to hear what you have to say. Others want to hear what you have to say. And so we can pay people now. And like, to me, it's great to cut a check on the 1st and 15th to our writers. It's great to cut a check 1st and 15th to people that want to contribute or get down with us or are down with us. I love the ability that I have today compared to what I had yesterday. And yes, sales aren't as high or voluminous as they were in 2020 because, you know, white fatigue. And
people stopped caring.
People stopped caring.
I'll say it.
Yeah. But we still have a niche of people that still do care.
Yes.
And that support goes plenty. Like, people will buy everything on the site, post it, DM me, talk. Like, we have people I see regularly that I'm just like, you've been rocking with us for 3-4 years. So it wasn't a fad for you. It wasn't a thing to just do.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's probably a whole other TED Talk, is because there is, you know, fatigue, obviously. Lord knows I get tired. I know you get tired. But there's also, like, it's just not trendy anymore. It's not cool.
Yeah.
It's not getting you paid. It's not getting you likes. Like, I mean, I said this to you the other day, like, motherfuckers are here for likes, not liberation.
Likes, not liberation, yeah.
And I don't know what I'm going to do with that quote. Y'all better not take my shit. But there's there's something brewing underneath it, because I think that's the next conversation that we really need to be having, right? But I say all that to say that's the next conversation.
Yeah.
For now, couple things. One is, so you have the writers, right? Like, you can pay people. You're really, really focused on not only providing a space to amplify voices that are not normally amplified, but also to educate folks and then provide them spaces to learn, like, how do we apply that? Or at least have conversations around how do we apply that, right? Like, how do we actually get actionable?
Otherwise, what's the point?
I mean, for real. So what does supporting the ethos, what does supporting the mission look like for folks? If they're like, man, this is really cool, because it is. What can I do? Well,
you can support in a multitude of ways. Financial support does a lot for us in the sense of I can begin to pay writers more money, because that's the goal. Like, the bigger the brand gets, the more money we generate, the more we can pay our writers. Because this is all we have. We're not backed by anybody. It's just community creating for community. So the more you can give, the more opportunity it opens up doors for others. And then, of course, there's stuff you can do, just, you know, stuff that you do. You be on the streets, you let people know, I got this from here. Hey, pull up your phone. We're going to tag them right now. You're going to see what they're like.
I really feel like, no, go to their website. No, right now. Follow them on Instagram. No, make sure it's the right account. People are like, oh my God, you're so aggressive.
There's so many ways to show up. Getting in the DM saying, I like what she posted, or tagging us. Like, there's small efforts. I know not everybody can show up in the same way, but there's a way everybody can show up.
Yeah.
And so if showing up means cutting us a check, that's showing. If showing up means telling people about the brand, that's the way to show up. And, you know, you can easily ask, hey, how can I show up for you? I think that is a very important thing. Once upon a time ago, I had a relationship. And what I would do, a romantic relationship. And what I would do is, you know, the whole love language thing. There were things that I was really good at and I would want to do. And although the person appreciated I did it, it's not what they wanted. And so what good is doing something that you feel good about or you are great at? What good is it if the partner doesn't need that or doesn't want it?
Right.
And so that translates more than just romantically in other facets of life. You can show up to your friends, your people, and ask them, what do you need? I know I'm good at this. I know I'm good at that. But what do you need from me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm always like, I'm sure most people can vouch that I respond to their DMs. You know, if you're not rude.
I was gonna say, as long as you're not out of pocket.
Yeah. You don't catch me on a bad day. I don't look at your profile and it looks kind of interesting, to say the least.
Right.
Yeah, I'm happy. You know, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really important note. You know, we always say, I mean, my followers know, I always say, not only center those closest to the harm, right, or the pain, and also it's so imperative to always ask, like, what does support look like, right, and not make assumptions. And something that, because language is so important, like, my new thing that I'm working with is, to the point you just made, is like, how do we merge those two things without making it about pain and actually making it about healing? And so instead asking, how can I contribute to your healing? Or like center those who need healing the most, right? And that's really what it is. Like, if I haven't eaten in a week and you're like, here's some shoes, what do I can't eat shoes. You know what I mean? Like, thank you so much for the clothing.
Lola. She wants some shoes.
Thankfully, Lola does not chew on shoes. She only chews on, but I was like, you've seen it. Boxes. But she shouldn't be eating that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fair point.
She'll have some fun. Yeah. But like, exactly that, right? Like, if you had just asked me, like, hey, what do you need for your healing? Yeah. I need food. Yeah. That's what I need. Cool. Here's some food. Yeah. Right? It's like really just asking. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons that we don't do that as a society. But if people can walk away from this with like one gem, one lesson, it's literally just like, hey, what can I do to support your healing? Or what can I do to support your progress today?
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
So simple. So simple. So I'm going to say a thing.
Say a thing.
And you could be like, no, we're not going to talk about it yet. Because I didn't ask if you were cool to, like, I'm going to spoiler alert this.
This is a surprise to us all. Let's hear it.
Good thing we have editing. Well, let me ask it this way. So how do you feel about the name America Hates Us?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah, like, are we keeping it? Are we, like, what are we doing?
We are in the works of, because America Hates Us came out in 2016, 2017. We were different people then. And what I just found out from a brilliant person the other day, she had said that the body changes every 7 years. And so I'm not saying America Hates Us change, but, you know, I'm open to a name change, because if we can get out to more people and we can be less shadow banned on social media, no social media platform in particular, if we can reach more, because, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I like the content that I create. And,
I mean, I do too, but.
And so I think more eyes should be on it. And I'm not just making content for eyes to be on it, but I think after creating a community for as long as that we have, it's very disappointing that eyes aren't on it. Yeah. And their people are proactively following us, only not to see it because the powers that be
are some haters.
Yeah, they create a hindrance. So if changing the name, and it obviously be a name change that we like and be in favor of, if changing the name expands the brand, it's able to help out more people and reach more people, definitely open to it. Yeah. So okay, I was a little nervous.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Well, because I asked, because this is gonna come out. And if you had the name change already, then I'd have been like, BT dubs, folks, like, you know. But I want people to stay alert to that. And the other reason why I want to name it is because I really want us to normalize giving people, brands, platforms, organizations, the space and freedom to continue to evolve and or change as they see fit, to continue to move the needle forward and however they're moving the needle forward.
Shout out to 2 Chainz. Titty Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It didn't fit anymore. No. So again, like, pivot. What am I going to do with a coat that don't fit? Look at it all day long? Yeah. I'm going to be cold outside. It doesn't do anything for me. Right? And so it's like giving people the space, but I think especially for brands that do equity work in any kind of way, right? I'm calling it equity work loosely, like, because I know we all define things differently, but just like in the general umbrella, so many people are so used to consuming us that when we do pivot in a way that either they didn't anticipate or maybe like pushes and ruffles the feathers of where they had gotten okay, you know, or like it was like, oh, you were cool up until this point. Yeah. then all of a sudden, like, they reject us or they stop following. Like, we were just talking about this, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've always been pretty clear about, like, where I stand on everything, which I think is funny when, like, you know, you get mass lost followers.
Yeah.
But when I, like, very unapologetically was like, man, basically it's protect Black women or fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, like, how many times can we say the same thing over and over again before y'all understand that we actually mean it? Like, I think did you post or did Fred post? And it was like, when we said believe women, like, we actually meant believe women. And, you know, like, I think it was basically something to that effect. It was you or Fred.
Yeah.
That was like, it's not just a slogan that's why I thought maybe it was you. Because it's like, it's not just a slogan that's on our shirts.
Yeah.
Like, it's not cute. Like,
No,
it's not
exactly.
just a thing that we want to say. Like, we really mean it. Right.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to make this point for y'all listeners, because this is something for y'all to excavate and y'all to think about, the ways in which, when anyone, but specifically folks that are marginalized in ways that you are, you know, in opposition to your privilege, and especially organization people, brands that do any sort of needle moving in society, when they evolve so that they can continue to move that needle in ways that best fit them and it ruffles something inside of you, that's something for you to excavate. And you need to work through that instead of taking the easy route out, which is like, oh, now I don't fuck with you. Like, I'm just going to unfollow you.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that you said that, because from the jump, we want people to be uncomfortable, because being comfortable has gotten us to where we are.
Right. Which is nowhere.
Nowhere, or moving backwards.
Yeah.
And I meant to say this earlier, the fact that, or the mention of Believe Women, that was our first piece that was special to me, specifically because during law school, I had volunteered, or I had done a semester. I did a summer at a trafficking clinic, and I worked with a lot of survivors. And the common denominator of all the survivors I interact with, and, you know, I had to interview them and prep them for court and answering questions, et cetera, et cetera. But baseline for all of them, they did not, you know, I asked the questions that, without having the education and background of what not to ask, I'd ask them, like, you know, why didn't you communicate that this was happening? Because, you know, I assumed these were questions that they'd be asked anyway.
Yeah.
And they all said they feared no one would believe them. And that went from law enforcement, which obviously does, they're horrible, but then that goes from friends and family. It was really difficult to say XYZ happened to me and for it to be believed. And then sometimes they would have I don't want to say courage, but sometimes they would have the ability to communicate this happened and still not be believed. And so they, in my opinion, face double, triple forms of victimization. One by their attacker, one by, I guess, the folks that are supposed to protect and serve, and then within their own community. So imagine having to relive a traumatic event and then trying to convince somebody it happened.
Yeah.
And that's what we have hashtags like why I didn't report.
Right.
Which always blows up when something happens, because people have lived this experience 1, 2, 3 times over. And people definitely know someone that's had those experiences 1, 2, 3 times over. Yet nobody knows any rapists.
Right. Funny how that works.
So that was why it was important for the Believe Women joint that Lena Waithe and tons of other people. It was important for me to see it because it was something that was personal to me. And out of all the designs, I've made so many designs since then, it's still my favorite design. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of my favorites too, for a lot of those same reasons. And you said something when we were talking yesterday, you know, because y'all...
We said a lot yesterday.
Yeah, we just be having conversations, yo.
Oh, man.
But one of the things that you said yesterday that I just want to reiterate, and obviously correct me if I, you know, don't capture it. The TLDR, right? The too long...
I learned that. Right. I learned that today, guys.
Too long, didn't read. Intimation, as they would say in a courtroom, is effectively, you know, if 70 women are saying something, even if 69 of them are lying, one should be enough. Yeah. Right? The one who's telling the truth should be enough.
Yeah. I have a big smile on my face because that was related to a date I went on. And the individual...
I mean, I wasn't going to put you all on blast, but go ahead.
The individual was in defense of Bill Cosby. And so that's when I said, check, please. Yeah. Because this isn't going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is like such... That should be a tweet right there. You should tweet that. Because I think that is like... There's no, like the arguing and the this, that, the others, and the like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
If one person is telling the truth, that's all that matters.
All that matters.
Like, no, there's no like period, end of sentence. Like, that's all that matters, right? And so, unfortunately, we know why. Well, those of us who care about this kind of stuff understand what the purpose of like creating, you know, falsehoods and gaslighting and all of these things are, right? So that women are not believed because it upholds and maintains patriarchy and blah, 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 and dominance. But if we could all, and I'm saying this to everyone, because that date was with women is a marginalized, you know, identity, but like a marginalized woman who still fixed her mouth to say that, right? And so we all have that deep toxic masculinity, that misogyny, that patriarchy really instilled in us the same way, right? Because it's born out of white supremacy. So y'all know I always say we all swim in the waters of white supremacy. None of us are exempt from it. We all have our work to do to work through it. This is just as much a part of that.
Very much so.
And I actually, maybe unpopular opinion, watch me get canceled.
Let's hear it. No, but cancellation is a myth.
I know, that's why. They should know that too. I believe in redemption culture. I think cancel culture is absolutely fucking absurd. Also, it doesn't happen because, anyways.
White supremacy.
Right. No, but I mean, quote unquote canceled, right? Like, you know, people love to come for me for anything. I actually think that if we dismantled misogyny first and foremost, that every single other system of oppression would fall.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's a fair take.
Because in order to dismantle misogyny, you have to face white supremacy, right?
Yeah, it all ties in.
It all ties in, but also statistically, if you just look at the sheer number of people who are harmed by misogyny, right? And
everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Regardless of all the other social identities, everyone is negatively impacted by that. Right? Folks socialized male have to uphold very, very toxic versions of manhood, right? Which inherently, more severely than any other version of socialization, disconnect y'all from your own humanity, your emotionality. Like, if we figured out how to just be like, whoop, we're going to cherry pick this one and dismantle this and heal everybody around this, everything else would fall. I really believe that.
I believe it too. I would say, as I always say, I think the key of getting us out of this rut is uplifting Black trans women. And I know that falls in line with that too.
Well, I was just going to say, fuck yes.
Yeah.
But yes.
I feel like once we're on that wave, everybody else will, you know, they say rise with the tides. Everybody else will do well. Everybody will benefit off that. Everybody will benefit from that.
Yeah.
But we live in a society that's just very first person, and you know, people identify with their whiteness before their sex, and they want to have proximity to whiteness. So they're like, fuck it. Like, as long as I'm doing better than that person, as long as I'm doing better than this person, my seat is comfortable.
Right. Yeah. So why, right? Like, our liberation is bound together. So if we can liberate those that are most marginalized amongst us, everybody else is liberated.
Can I let you in on something? We make fun of this. We talk about this all the time. Everything you're saying is facts. Everything that you're saying, I completely agree with. And I just know that if you are, let's just say a white person, white woman, white man, you said the same thing, it would be applauded. It'd be on the front page news. You would be trending.
This?
What?
Somebody just sent me, so we talked about this yesterday. Somebody sent me a video 5 minutes before we started recording, and it was Breonna Brown. I guess she recently said something that the whole internet is going viral over.
What did she say?
I don't know. I honestly stopped listening because it annoyed the fuck out of me. Because I actually think she's problematic.
I do not know much about
the only reason I think she's problematic is because a lot of the things that come out of her mouth have been, specifically what we're talking about, have been said by Black women and Black educators.
She's citing her sources.
No, that's why I think she's
problematic.
Exactly.
Okay.
But neither. Also, I think she has some like spiritual bypassing going on and like some other things that negate the fact that marginalized folks actually are not just choosing victimhood. Like, that actually happens to them. But then very conveniently, all of a sudden, like, her whole quote line was around like, if I say something racist, oh, so now you know about racism? Please go sit the fuck down.
Sound like somebody I shouldn't find out more
No.
about.
No.
Thank you.
Soapbox over. She's on Netflix. Like, that's really all you need to know.
Okay.
I mean, she has books and stuff too. And look, that's an unpopular opinion because there are a lot of marginalized folks who love her.
Yeah.
Fine. Enjoy. No knock. The point is, she was making a comment, and again, in all fairness, I didn't listen to the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what else was said. But the point that she was making was that if you say something, she said racist, but I'm just going to say if you say something rooted in your privilege, right? Yeah. Whether it's transphobic, racist, Islamophobic, so on and so forth, and somebody names it, and you feel you have an emotional reaction to it, guilt, shame, anger, whatever, that is not me actively shaming you or guilting you or causing that emotional reactivity. That is you having an emotional reaction to the fact that I've held up a mirror to you to indicate to you that the thing that you have done or said is deeply harmful and problematic. And that's you having to have a moment of reconciliation and internal conflict.
This was her original thought.
This is me repeating myself from a podcast from 2 years ago that she just said the other day that went viral.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So not to say that she got it from me, because this is not a novel fucking idea. But the point is that marginalized folks, specifically Black women, specifically Black trans women and femmes, have been saying this forever. I'm not guilting you. I'm not shaming you. I'm naming your whiteness or your white womanhood or the toxicity of those things or your cishetness or whatever. I'm naming how that's caused you to not be able to see the ways in which you are hurting me. And then you feel guilt and shame and you have your victimhood spiral. Yeah. And now I'm the asshole. Yeah. I'm the problem. I'm the aggressor. And I'm shaming you and I'm guilting you and I'm no longer safe versus the accountability required to say, I just did something hurtful or harmful or problematic. You had the resolve within yourself to name it, knowing that you might be met with violence. Yeah. And you named it. And that's my responsibility to look at the ways in which I am now feeling, right? That's a me problem. Yeah. You're not shaming me. I feel shame. Yeah. Those are different things, right? We've been talking about this since the dawn of fucking time.
Yeah, I know.
So she said it apparently earlier this week, and it's all over the internet. All of that to say, shout out Andy, Black woman who took Reclaim, which is my decolonization liberation course specifically for Black and brown folk, socialized female. And all it said was, ain't you say this shit last year?
Yeah.
And so all of that to say, that was my soapbox to your point, right? Like.
And I don't understand, and I think I do understand, but I may be off. The same things that Black, brown folks have been communicating or expressing or yelling from the mountaintops, we have white orators say the same thing, and it's received, I can't even say differently, it's received better coming out of white mouths. Because I don't know what it is to be a white person, but I guess there's something that transmits that the communication now is palatable, or they can digest it better coming from someone that looks like them. And in my opinion, that's problematic. That's like me getting only advice from cishet men about how to be around women or how to treat women or how to act as a man. That one-sided viewpoint, that one-sided approach, advice is horrible, in my opinion.
I agree.
I need to be getting all the information from different people, especially the people of the community that I guess is the subject. And so therefore, I don't find myself being part of any men's group to be better men from it. No, I think I should go right to the source. If I want to be better around trans folks, I'm not going to get my language and or my education from non-trans folks. Because to me, that doesn't add up.
Yeah, no, the math doesn't math.
Absolutely not. So yeah, it's a frustrating thing because I know people are tired. I know they're tired. And listen, her name's Breonna Brown. Nobody wants Breonna Brown claim. Nobody wants her, whatever she has, we don't want it.
No.
We just want fair treatment. We don't want to be treated as if we had not said these things.
Right.
If you're going to go wild for, where's the energy?
So this actually brings me to another question. I think what you've done with the brand entirely is phenomenal in all the ways, and also, and then we can wrap up.
No wrapping up.
Do you believe that if folks knew and or thought that you even had one white person involved in America Hates Us, that it would do better, quote unquote better.
Do I think people would? Yeah, of course. Because there's always the idea that whiteness gives things validity, which is if your followers or anybody that's been on social the last few weeks have seen played out in the public that that's not always the case. And listen, I have no issues with people collaborating with white folks in places that are specifically Black, brown, but I think white people need to be in the back, far in the back. Like you had said something like you could go grab a seat over there.
Stand in the corner and grab a seat. I don't know. Figure it out, but you can't be on stage.
You can't be on stage. You can't be the headliner. This isn't a sort of situation.
Right.
You may be able to be instrumental in many ways, but not on the front lines.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest, you know, I think for movements to happen, you're going to need people that don't, you're not going to need. It'd be advantageous to have people that aren't necessarily exactly like you. But in terms of like ultimate liberation or getting to where you need to go, once you have a certain kind of privilege, it's really hard to see when you get in the way. And you, quote unquote, helping or thinking you're doing a good job for individuals or for communities, that's your take of it. But you may be blinded by the very fact of your own privilege getting in the way of the movement.
Yeah.
And if the movement's really important, you should make sure you're not in the way.
Yeah.
You should step all the way to the side to make sure the movement moves on with or without you, because you're rooting for it.
Yeah. Which is a perfect way to end our episode, because that brings us full circle to what can I do to be a part of your forward progress or healing?
That was a tough one.
No, like that's the question, right? Like you already answered it, but that's the question that we came up with earlier.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. If you are really for a movement, and it was hard, but like if you're really for a movement and you're willing to have that movement, quote unquote, leave you behind for the sake of the movement. Yeah. The only question that you need to be asking is, what can I do to aid in your forward progress or healing? Yeah. That's it. Absolutely. That's the whole question. Nothing. No, I don't need to know nothing else. Yeah. Ask me that question and I'll give you the answer. Yeah. And also, that answer might change day to day. Absolutely, yeah. Check-ins are good. Right? So. Can I shout out Ashley, our former editor? She's no longer editor, but she has been and still is instrumental part of our team. Allison, who runs our book club, does a lot of communications and marketing for the brand Solange, a young tennis phenom out of Florida who does a lot. You'll get a greeting from her when you sign up for Patreon. And the list goes on of just people that volunteer one-offs or regularly come around to help us. Like this brand, the fact that we are the way we are, or the fact that we've made it to where we've made it, is because of Black women, primarily. I don't show my face because I'm not a showing face type of person, but I started this brand with one thing in mind or two things in mind: to generate funds to give back to organizations. So when you go to our website, and you pick that cute sweater and you pick out the color and you pick out the size, you have the option of picking out where you want 20% of the funds to go. And if you follow us and you see every month we make donations, your money has gone to XYZ organization. So we love to shout that out. We love to promote that because it's community that we are trying to foster and help out. And also Black women. Black women are the propellers, or have gotten this to where it's gone, and it's only going to be taken further. So I will put myself all the way in the back and put them all the way into the front, and they can lead the charge, and I will help however I can help with the brand and outside the brand. And you really mean that, which is why I fuck with you. Thank you. Well, thank you for, well, I mean, you were here already, but so like, not thank you for being here on the show. Well, I'm here all week. Like, but thank you so much for gifting me your time. I always tell everyone it's not lost on me that, you know, this requires energy and effort. And so I'm always very thankful. Got me swaying, y'all. Got me swaying. All right, y'all. You will be able to find all of the ways in which you can support, and the links and the handles and all of the good information in the show notes. And remember, as usual, share this with somebody you care about. Rate, review, subscribe, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. Rate, review, subscribe, like, share this podcast with all of your peoples. Follow me on Instagram, and you can always join me in community over at Podia. Until next time.